Hi there, so in this video I'm going to recreate an older tutorial I filmed back in December, and that tutorial was called Recreating My Bestseller. So if you don't know yet, my name is Jennifer and I have an Etsy shop. It's called PrintableForPlanners. So back in December I recreated one of my bestseller, which is this A5 daily planner. And I made that tutorial for you to follow along on Planify Pro, so you can learn by doing on how to use the program. But since we have a new interface that looks like this, very different from what it used to look like back in December, this tutorial is now or has now become obsolete, like all the other tutorials we created in the past. Means that I will have to recreate all the tutorials again with the new interface. I will still leave all the tutorials up on the YouTube channel. You can still follow them along, but they might just be very confusing to use since so much has been changed here on our create page. So I think it's just best if I refilm this tutorial for you. I will be recreating the same planner, but just explaining the process by using the new interface. Okay, so let's get started. Now, as mentioned, in this tutorial, I will be recreating this A5 daily planner here. This daily planner has a priority list, a daily goals list, schedule to do, a tracker, meal planner, and a note section below. Now, whenever you're creating a new planner on Planify Pro, you always will have to select a layout first. And a layout is needed so the program knows where to add which widget into it. So you cannot just click and drag a widget to any place you want to. You first need to select a layout that looks closest to what you have in mind. And then you can click on a window within the layout, and then you can add a widget into it. So first things first, we first need to figure out what exact layout we need to have before we can add the different kinds of widgets into it. So if you look at the planner, you see it has two columns, like here is one large column and here is another one. And then if we look at the amount of rows, you see that this planner has 1 row, 2 rows, 3, 4, and 5 rows. So the final layout we need to have is one that has 8 boxes in total, it has 2 columns, and it has 5 rows. Now to select a layout on the create page, you can open the layout panel, go to planner, and under choose layout, you usually can select a layout with different amounts of boxes. So here I have 8 selected because we need a layout with 8 boxes. However, the layout we need is not here on the selection. So this means that we will have to create our own layout. And you can do that by clicking on Adjust Layout. And here it gives you the ability to create your own custom layout. So here you can add rows from the top and click on the white boxes so you can add a window within the layout where you can insert new widgets. You can make these boxes bigger or smaller. You can also remove them by clicking on the X button up here, or you can also remove the columns. But for this tutorial, we will need in total 2 columns. So let's do that one first. We need 2 columns, 1, 2, and we need 5 rows. So right now we have 2 rows, so let's add 5 in total. 3, 4, 5, and now we can start creating our layout. So you see that we have 2 boxes on top, 1, 2, we have 2 below, 3, 4, and then we have 5 and 6, and then 7 is as high as 5 and 6. 5, 6, and then 7 takes up the same height of both E and F, like this. And then the bottom row is spread across the planner. So let's extend this last box like this. So this is how your layout now should look like. We now have the correct amount of boxes. So what we will need to do next is change the heights of these boxes. So let me pull up the template, 1 second. Here it is. And to make everything easier visually for you, I will choose to only work on the right side for now. So let me click to only show the right side. So this should be easier for now. Okay, so when you click on the fractions here, you can actually change the height of the boxes. For example, when you click here, this small box will show up, and then you can click on the arrows to make them smaller and bigger. So make the first one smaller, and let me figure out how tall the other ones should be. 1 second. Let me try and figure out how tall I should make them. I think this looks okay. Maybe the lower one smaller, like this. I think this looks okay. So what I have here is I have 0.9 for the first row, then 2.7 for the second one, 0.7, 0.7, and then 0.9 fractions for the last row. So these are the metrics, the measurements, and once you've typed them all in, you should have a template that looks like this one here. So now that we have the layout selected, we can move on to adding widgets into the boxes. But before we do that, I quickly wanted to explain you how the color, the styling, and the text menu work. So here I have a different template open. You don't have to follow from here on. I just quickly wanted to take this template here as an example to explain you how the colors, the text, and the styling work. So on Planify Pro, whenever you're creating a new planner, it's composed by 3 different types of colors. So you have an outline color, a header color, and a line color. So the outline color is always the color around the widget. So this darker pink you see is the outline color, and whenever you change a color, it automatically applies that color to the entire planner. So you can see now when I click on this round color icon, the panel will show up, the color selection panel, and here I can select a new color, and you see it will change the outline color of the entire planner. The same applies to the header color. The header color is the color within the header. So when I change the color, it changes the color of all headers, like this. Same for the line color. It changes the color of all the lines. Now the grid widget is an exception. You see the grid widget didn't change the color to blue, and that is because on default, the grid widget has selected a different color. So you will have to select in the settings the second color, which will adapt the color of the main colors, of the main line color here. So if you have a widget that isn't adapting the same line color as all the other widget, remember you will have to click on that widget, go into settings, and under line color select the second menu, and then it will adapt the same color as all the other widgets. So now that you know how the color menu works, I can move on to explain you how the styling panel works. And the styling is where you can change the appearance of the widget. So you see under styling you have an additional menu for neutral, minimal, decorative and bold. And when you click on one of those stylings, the appearance of the whole widget will change, as you see here. Then we have also minimal styles that have no frame, that look like this. Or we have decorative ones that look like this. Or we also have bold ones with bolder frames around the widgets. And you can choose any kind of styling. If you have a widget selected and you go back to styling and you select to selected widget up here, it will only apply the selected style to that specific widget. So let me show you. Now here we have this widget selected, and I also have to selected widget option selected. And now if I click on, let's say, this bold styling, it will only change the styling of this selected widget. So whenever you're changing styles and you see it somehow only applies to one widget, you most likely have this option up here selected. So make sure you have to all widgets selected when you want to change the styling of the entire planner. If it still doesn't change for some odd reason, you can click on Reset Widget Style, and this will reset the whole styles of all the widgets so you can select a new styling. So now that you know how to select the styles, we can move on to the text. And this is the most confusing menu of all for most of our users. So how the text panel works is, first of all, we have a guide which explains you what each font type is. So if you look closely, you see that we have H1, we have an H2 text, an H3, and an H4. So the H1 text is the header of the planner. So in this example here, it would be up here, this where it says Daily Planner, this header would be the H1 header on Planify Pro. And you can add an H1 header by opening the H1 menu, and then you can select to apply the H1 to the left page, the right page, or to both pages. And then you can activate it by clicking on this Click to Add Both Page title. And then below here, you can select different kinds of headers you want to insert into this H1. So you can add lines, you can add rectangles, and you can also compose your own custom header. So if you click on this plus button here, it will add you an additional column, and here you can add a different kind of header next to it. So you see how it adds a second header next to it. So this is something you can play and experiment around with, and you can in total or maximum add 3 headers. And you can also add subheaders. So down here, if you click on the lower boxes, you can add more header types to it and customize it to how you would like it to look like. So this one's the H1. And then to change the font of the H1, go to the next tab where it says Title Font A, and here you can select a font. And you can select script fonts, or you can select regular fonts. And those two font types are divided into 2 panels. So this would be the H1, and then what the H2 font is that the H2 font are all the fonts or text fonts which are within the headers of the widgets. So if you look closely, this is the widget and these are the headers. So if I change the font of the H2, it changes the fonts of all widget headers. So this is the H2. Then the H3 font is the font within the widgets. So let me explain you. Whenever you click within the widget, you open up a text panel that will show up like this, where you can type something new within the lines. And these texts that are typed within the widget, like this, from the text panel, are called H3. So whenever you change the H3 font, you change the fonts of all text which is written within the widget. So these are the this is the text panel explained. So now you know H1 is the upper header, H2 are the texts within the widgets, the headers of the widgets. H3 is the text typed within the widget. So now that you know the text panel, the styling panel, and the color panel, we can go back to our planner and first of all select the colors. So for this particular planner, I have the following colors applied, and you can also select the same colors or you can select different kinds of colors. That's all up to you. But if you want to have the same pink color applied to your planner, you can copy the following hex code. So for outline, type in hashtag F7CAC9. Then for the header color, type in hashtag FCEBEA. And then for the line color, type in hashtag A1A1A1. And you should have something that looks like this. And then for the styling, you see that this styling only has a header but no outline. So the most similar styling for this planner would be the minimalist style. So under style, minimal, select minimal. And you don't see the styling applied in here because we didn't add any widgets into it. But just for now, select this styling or just click on it. Also make sure you have to all widgets selected as well. And then for the fonts, open text panel, open H2 font, go to regular, and then select the Cedric font. Cedric, this one right here. And for the H3 font, select the same one. Go open the regular fonts, scroll down and select Cedric. You don't have to select this particular font, but this is what I applied for this planner. We will get back to the H1 font at the end of this tutorial. So we will get back to this daily planner H1 header at the end. But now that we've selected the colors and the styling, we can go and insert our first widget. So you see here that this one's a priority list that has 4 boxes. So a widget we could apply into it would, for example, be the multiple box widget. So select this box, the first one, and in the menu scroll down until you see multiple box, insert it into this widget, and then in the settings you can click to have in total 4 sections and 1 row. So you have something that looks like this. And what you want to do next is click on the first row. So you pull up the text panel, and in here we want to type in a text called priority or priorities, like this. Align it in the middle, and next add a background color, which is this darker pink. So we get a header like this. And then click on the second row and change the background color to this lighter pink and apply this lighter pink to all the other rows like this. And here we have our first priority widget. Then you see that the daily goals is very similar to the priorities. It just has white boxes instead of pink ones. So let's copy this priority widget. Up here you can click on copy, then select the next box next to it and click on paste. And now click on the first row and type within that row daily goals. Move it to the middle and now change the background color to this darker pink, and you can leave the rest. Then next we can move on to the next widget down here below, which was a daily schedule, a time from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. So select this third box here, filter for daily, and then select the time schedule. Change the text, the header text to schedule, and then under time select it to start from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. and then next select to show no sticker site. So this white box you see in the widget is called sticker site, and the reason why we call it sticker is because it's 1.5 inches wide, which means that you can add any kind of happy planner or Erin Condren sticker into this box and it will always fit. So if you don't want to have this sticker box here, you can click here on none in the settings under sticker and it will remove it for you. Then what we'll need to do next is also only have one increment. So set it to one increment, and let's also make this first hourly column smaller like this. The next widget is this to-do widget here. So select the next box, filter for to-dos, and select this list widget. Then in the settings, you can scroll down and select a new icon, for example, this rectangle, and also change the header text to do like this, and there we go. Then down here we have two types of trackers, a water tracker and a mood tracker. Now first of all, let's select this field, this box, and add under notes, add a blank widget. Okay, so this one's just a widget with a blank body like this. So there are two types of ways you can create a water tracker. So the first way would be to click within the widget in the white field to show the text panel, and then on the text panel you can click on emoticon bullets and this will bring you up the icon selection. Now from here you can click on the glass icon 8 times, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can make the icons bigger or smaller, and you can also align them centered like this. So here you have a water tracker. Then you might also want to change the header text to water tracker. So this would be option 1 to create water tracker, but there actually is a different way you can also create water trackers. And this is by adding or activating a footer within the widget. So let's quickly remove let me quickly remove the water tracker. You don't have to on your end. I just want to show you a different way. Okay, so nothing's applied in it. Then the other way would be select the widget, go to footer, and then click on enable. And now this icon selection will show up. Now from here you can click again on the glass icon, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now you also added or created a water tracker with 8 glasses like before. You can have it aligned to the start, to the end, or around like this. And you can make the icons bigger or smaller. Now a footer is an added space below a widget where you can add icons below. So let me demonstrate this footer on this to-do list again. So here I selected the to-do list and activated the and enabled the footer, and you see that it will calculate an empty space below the widget where you can insert different kinds of icons. So this is called the footer, and you can also add this footer to the top or to the bottom, so it's up to you. So I just wanted to quickly show you that there are 2 types of ways you can create these kinds of trackers. The only downside of adding a footer is that you will end up with this line here, so a line that's separating the tracker from the rest. So if you don't want to have that, I recommend you to disable the footer and then just create one by adding the icons with the text editor like we did before. So by clicking on emoticon and then adding 8 glasses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then having it centered, large, and then you can also change the color like this. So I think this one's prettier, so I will also quickly remove the to-do footer, deactivate it. There we go. So these are the 2 ways you can create trackers. Now we have the water tracker. Now let's create the mood tracker. Select the one below. Let's quickly change the header text to mood and then click on the white space. If the text editor doesn't pop up like before, you can click on the icon and this should expand it. Go to emoticon bullet, and now let's add a very happy face, a happy face, a neutral face, a sad face, a crying, and an angry face like this. Make them bigger and align them to the center. Like this. And there you go. We can later on adjust the height of these 2 widgets, but for now let's jump over to the next one. So here you see the next one is a meal planner. So what we can do is click on this field and under notes select the lined widget. In the setting call it meals and then reduce the rows to just 4 rows. Next we will type in B for breakfast. So click on the row, type in B, then lunch, L for lunch, D for dinner, and then S for snacks. The last widget is a notes widget. So select the last box, add in the lined widget, rename the header to notes, and reduce the rows to 4 like this. Now one thing you see is that this notes widget actually has a frame around the widget, and to create that we can actually select the notes widget, go to style, go to neutral, and then click on To Selected Widget and then select the original style. And you see it added you, or it changed you the appearance of the widget to have a styling that has a border around the widget. So this is how it should look like right now. And I think these two trackers look too large. So what I will do next is go to Layout panel, have Planner selected, go to Adjust Layout, and we will make them a tiny bit smaller. So here on 0.7 fractions, click on it and make it a bit smaller, maybe 0.5. The other one 0.5 as well. And now this should look better. So here you see on the left you see the original, and here is ours. It doesn't look exactly the same, but it looks close. So last thing that is left now is the header. So let's go on and create the header. You see here there is a day selection, the title, and then a date input. So let's quickly go back and open the text panel and then have H1 selected, and then apply it to both pages, and then you can click Add Both Page Title, and then below here you can add an additional column or 2 additional columns. Then click on the middle one and in there add a header. Click on the left one and there you add the day selection, and then click on the right one and there you can add in a text with an input line like this. So let's first go to Title Font A, and here you want to select the font for the text in the middle of the H1, and the font I selected before was called Chin Up Buttercup, this one here. So you can also select this one or select a different one, and then to change the fonts of these two texts here, you can go to Title Font B, and then here I will just reselect the Cedric one under regular. Select the Cedric, or you can select any other font, and then here in where it says text, click on it and then type in date, and before the letter D you can click or type in enter to make the lines smaller like this, and there you go. If you want, you can also adjust the font and make it a tiny bit bigger. And this is how it should look like on your end. Now let me pull up both pages. And now you can simply just copy paste the right page to the left page. So up here you have a button for right to left. So click on it. And now that you have created both pages, you can go to Save Export. You can either save it to your collection or export the PDF. And I will quickly show you the end result and compare it with the original. So here we go. Looks close, not exactly the same, but it looks close. One thing that's left is the border in the middle. So if you want to add this striped border, you can go to Pattern, and then you can search for stripe. I believe it's called stripe. It will take a few seconds to load, so just give it a few seconds. And then go down where it says stripe, and there you can add a pink one or a gray one. And then you can click on this gray color and change it to black, and there you go. But the only downside of changing this last color here is that by changing it, you also are changing the line color of the 3 main colors of this planner, which means you automatically also change the line colors of these widgets. So this is still something we need to implement to change colors of the patterns without influencing the colors in the widget. But if you don't want to have a pattern and want to remove it for now, you can go back or click here on None, and that should remove the pattern from the planner. And then to get the gray color back, you can go back to Color, and under Line Color, you can type in the color hashtag A1, A1, like this. Okay, so this was how to create the daily. So this was how to recreate the daily planner. Okay, so this is how to recreate the daily planner, which is a bestseller on my shop. You cannot sell this exact planner. You would need to change the colors and maybe change the styling, adapt it to a different style, maybe also adjust the colors to a different color, and maybe also change the font of the header. But other than that, you should be good to go and you should be able to sell it. Just make sure it doesn't look the same as this original, so you don't infringe any copyright laws. And if you have any questions, you can always message me on Instagram or Facebook, and I will be happy to answer all your questions. Thank you. Bye.